You can't park there. You know that's an unauthorized color for the common area. The voice, sharp and high, sliced through the quiet redwood air like a rusty saw. Seriously? I thought, inhaling the crisp, clean scent of damp earth and ancient pine, which immediately clashed with the sudden, acrid odor of entitlement. I hadn't even finished unloading the boxes from my beat-up Ford Ranger. This was my first full day in Redwood Grove, and already, I was dealing with a Karen. What a welcome! I turned slowly, letting my expression settle into a look of mild, exhausted disbelief. Standing 4 feet from my truck, arms crossed over a meticulously ironed, beige polo shirt, was Janet, the unofficial queen of the Redwood Grove Homeowners Association. Her eyes, magnified behind expensive progressive lenses, were fixed on the faded, slightly chipped mint green paint of my vintage truck. I'm sorry, is there an actual problem? Or are we just having a bad Monday? I asked, my voice calm, but with a low, simmering hum of irritation. The truck was parked entirely on the property I had just closed on. A small, slightly decrepit commercial lot adjacent to the Grove's Welcome Center. The problem, young lady, is you? Janet sniffed, gesturing dismissively towards a corner of my land. This vehicle violates the aesthetic standards outlined in Section 4C of the Homeowners Association Covenants. Furthermore, I've noticed you have failed to mulch your perimeter and your mailbox looks unapproved. I need your address and lot number immediately so I can send the official violation notice. She tapped a manicured fingernail against a laminated clipboard she carried like a scepter. I leaned back against the hood of the Ranger, letting out a heavy internal sigh. This wasn't going to be a quick conversation, was it? Look, Janet, I said, consciously using her name, watching a flicker of surprise cross her face. I appreciate your dedication to mulch, truly, but I am not, nor will I ever be, subject to the Redwood Grove Homeowners Association. I own the commercial property here. This land is zoned specifically outside your residential jurisdiction. I'm not in your homeowners association. Check the county records. The words "I'm not in your homeowners association" seemed to short-circuit her brain. Her face went from authoritative beige to a mottled, angry crimson. That is absolutely false. Every inch of land bordering the Grove is covered. You are trying to evade responsibility. You think you can just show up here and flout the rules we all live by? Do you have any idea who I am? Honestly? Not really, and I need to get back to work. I turned back to my boxes, trying to project a finality I didn't feel. My heart was starting that familiar thump-thump-thump rhythm of pre-conflict anxiety. I could feel the heat rising in my neck. Why do people choose to live like this? Over the next 2 weeks, the harassment escalated with the predictable precision of a horror movie sequel. I started finding passive-aggressive notes laminated and weighted down with stones on my windshield. We are watching you. The paint is an affront to nature. One day, I swear, I caught her crouching near my septic access, maybe hoping to report a chemical spill or something equally ridiculous. The low, constant buzz of her presence was exhausting. It felt like living next to a malfunctioning smoke detector. I'd come to the Grove to escape the city, to turn this abandoned building into a quiet architecture studio and short-term rental unit. I had put every dime into this, but I couldn't shake the feeling of being hunted. Then came the crescendo. I was installing a new, custom-made wooden sign, a beautiful, hand-carved piece that said simply, Alexandran Studio and Retreat, when Janet marched across the dividing line, her clipboard held like a shield. That sign is too large. It's not wood-toned. It needs to be replaced immediately, or I will have it professionally removed and bill you the cost, she shrieked, her voice echoing off the majestic, towering redwood trees. This time, I didn't feel anxiety. I felt a stone-cold certainty. I looked directly at her. Janet, you are trespassing. I've told you repeatedly you have no authority here. Leave my property. No authority? We are the authority here. This is a covenant community. I'm calling the police right now. They will remove you, and they will see your flagrant disregard for civil society. She dramatically pulled out her phone, dialing the non-emergency line, her voice dropping into a performative tone of urgency. Yes, I need an officer sent to 1400 Redwood Grove Drive, the community center complex. We have a hostile, unauthorized squatter refusing to comply with regulations, attempting to damage homeowners association property. Wait, homeowners association property? A tiny, mischievous spark ignited in my mind, quickly morphing into a raging bonfire of realization. I smiled, a slow, dangerous smile. This was the moment, the exact perfect moment. Within 15 minutes, a patrol car pulled up. Officer Miller, a kind-faced man who looked far too weary for a Tuesday afternoon, stepped out. Janet immediately pounced on him, pointing a frantic finger at me and my new sign. Officer, thank goodness. This woman is destroying our community's visual integrity. She claims she isn't part of the homeowners association, but this whole building is the homeowners association welcome and administration center. She can't just put up her own sign. This is our headquarters. Officer Miller listened patiently, then turned to me. Ma'am, can you confirm you are currently occupying the Redwood Grove Homeowners Association office complex? I nodded slowly, keeping my eyes locked on Janet, whose face was a mask of victorious smugness. That is absolutely correct, officer. I am here. And Janet is also absolutely correct about one crucial detail she just mentioned. I paused, letting the silence stretch, savoring the moment before I dropped the bomb. This building was the Homeowners Association Welcome and Administration Center. Was past tense. Janet's smirk wavered. What are you talking about? It always has been, and always will be, the Homeowners Association Center. Actually, no, I said softly, pulling a crisp set of deeds and legal papers from a file. I handed one to the officer and another, almost affectionately, to Janet. About 6 weeks ago, the Redwood Grove Homeowners Association, facing severe financial shortfalls and an embarrassing mismanagement lawsuit over their reserve funds, was forced to liquidate its most valuable asset to cover the judgment. Do you remember those 2 large, dilapidated commercial lots near the highway entrance? They weren't just lots. They were the parcels that the Homeowners Association building sits on. The only thing they could sell to stay afloat. Officer Miller scanned the deed, his eyebrows rising steadily. What is that? What nonsense is this? Janet stammered, frantically trying to focus on the legal jargon. It's the deed, Janet, I explained, my voice now smooth and clinical, the exhaustion replaced by adrenaline. I bought the entire commercial property portfolio, which includes, as you correctly noted, this building. I tapped the wall of the structure we were leaning against. The Redwood Grove Homeowners Association no longer owns this building. They no longer own this parking lot. They no longer own the land your feet are currently standing on. The breath completely left Janet's chest in a sharp, audible gasp. Her clipboard clattered to the ground. Didn't she read the meeting minutes? In short, Janet, I finished, a wide, genuine smile finally reaching my eyes. Not only am I not in your homeowners association, but you're now standing on land leased by me. And the Welcome and Administration Center is now the Alexandran Studio and Retreat. I'm your new landlord. And regarding that mint green truck, I call that color Redwood Grove Rebel. Officer Miller couldn't stifle a grin. He cleared his throat. Ma'am, he addressed Janet, pointing to the property line. I believe the property owner has asked you to leave. If you have any further grievances regarding the sign, you'll need to contact your landlord's attorney, not the police. Janet stood paralyzed, tears welling in her eyes, staring at the floor that was no longer hers. The power had been sucked right out of her beige polo shirt and those fancy glasses. It was the sweetest silence I had ever heard in Redwood Grove. Justice, I realized, isn't always served in a courtroom. Sometimes, it's served with a set of fully executed commercial property deeds. This wasn't about a sign or paint color. It was about the simple, exhilarating freedom of defining your own space against those who demand conformity. You have the right to stand your ground, and sometimes that ground turns out to be the very foundation they thought they controlled. Never let a Karen tell you your color isn't approved, especially when you hold the lease. What a glorious day for unapproved mint green.